The sun dipped low over the Texas plains, painting the sky in soft pinks and golds. Jasmine Crockett sat on her porch, rocking gently in an old wooden chair. The air was warm, heavy with the scent of blooming jasmine flowers from her garden. Crickets chirped in the distance, their song blending with the faint hum of a neighbor's radio. She sipped her iced tea, the glass sweating in her hand, and let her thoughts drift. The world felt calm tonight, but beneath that calm, a quiet storm brewed in her heart. Jasmine was known in her small town of Willow Creek for her sharp mind and kind soul. She was a lawyer, a fighter for justice, and someone who never backed down from the truth. But tonight, she wasn't thinking about courtrooms or cases. She was thinking about Charlie Kirk, a name that had been floating around town like a restless ghost. People whispered about him, his loud voice, his bold claims, his influence that seemed to stir both admiration and unease. Jasmine had seen him once, years ago, at a community event. He'd been all charm and confidence, but something about his eyes had unsettled her. They were sharp, calculating, like a man who knew exactly what he wanted, and how to get it. The problem wasn't just Charlie. It was what he represented. Willow Creek was a place where folks valued honesty, but lately, rumors and half-truths had started to creep in, like weeds in a garden. Charlie Kirk, with his slick words and fiery speeches, had a way of making people question what they knew. He'd been gone from town for years, but his ideas lingered, carried by those who still quoted him in coffee shops and church halls. Jasmine felt a weight in her chest. How do you fight a shadow? How do you push back against a man who wasn't even there anymore, but whose words still shaped the way people thought? She set her glass down and leaned back, closing her eyes. The porch creaked under her chair, a familiar sound that grounded her. She remembered her grandmother's words, "Truth is like a river, Jasmine. It flows slow, but it always finds its way." Those words had guided her through tough times, through cases where lies piled high, through moments when the world seemed too loud, too divided. But tonight, they felt distant, like a melody she could barely hear. The evening deepened, and a soft breeze rustled the leaves. Jasmine opened her eyes and noticed a figure walking up the dirt path to her house. It was Lena, her old friend from high school, now a teacher at the local school. Lena's steps were slow, her shoulders slumped, as if she carried a heavy load. Jasmine stood, brushing her hands on her jeans, and called out, "Lena, you okay? Come sit." Lena climbed the porch steps, her face tired but warm. She sank into the chair beside Jasmine, letting out a long sigh. "It's the kids," she said, her voice soft. "They're quoting him again, Charlie Kirk. They hear his words online, from their parents, from who knows where. They're so young, Jasmine, but they're angry. They're repeating things they don't even understand." Jasmine nodded, her heart sinking. She'd seen it too, the way division seeped into even the youngest minds. "What are they saying?" she asked, her voice steady but gentle. Lena hesitated, then spoke. "They're talking about taking back things, about us versus them. It's like they're reciting a script. I try to teach them to think for themselves, but it's hard when his ideas are everywhere." Jasmine leaned forward, her hands clasped. She felt the weight of Lena's words, the way they mirrored her own thoughts. Charlie Kirk wasn't just a man, he was a symbol of something bigger, a force that thrived on fear and division. But how could she fight that? How could she help Lena, help the kids, help Willow Creek find its way back to the truth? The two women sat in silence for a moment, the crickets filling the space between them. Then, a gentle twist came to Jasmine's mind, like a breeze shifting direction. She remembered something from years ago, when she'd first met Charlie at that community event. He'd been debating a local pastor, his words sharp and fast, but the pastor had stayed calm. Instead of arguing, the pastor had told a story, a simple one, about a farmer who planted seeds of kindness, even in rocky soil. The story had quieted the room, even Charlie, for a moment. It wasn't an argument, it was a reminder of what mattered. "Lena," Jasmine said, her voice soft but clear, "what if we don't fight him with words? What if we show the kids something different? Not arguments, but stories. Stories about this town, about the people who built it, about what holds us together." Lena's eyes brightened, just a little. "Stories?" she asked. "Like what?" Jasmine smiled, the idea taking root. "Stories about Willow Creek. About the time the whole town came together to rebuild the library after the flood. About old Mr. Thompson, who gave out free apples from his orchard every fall, no matter how little he had. Stories that remind the kids who we are." Lena nodded slowly, her tiredness easing. They'd listen to that, she said. They love stories. And maybe it'd help them see past the noise. The next morning, Jasmine and Lena sat down at the school with a group of students. The classroom was quiet, sunlight streaming through the windows, casting warm patches on the wooden floor. Jasmine started with a story about her grandmother, who'd taught her to listen to the river, to trust that truth would find its way. The kids leaned in, their eyes wide, their phones forgotten for a moment. Lena followed with a story about her own father, a mechanic who'd fixed cars for free when families couldn't pay. One by one, the kids started sharing their own stories, about their parents, their neighbors, the little moments that made Willow Creek home. A boy named Marcus talked about his uncle, who'd taught him to fish in the creek, showing him how to be patient, how to wait for the right moment. A girl named Sarah spoke about her mom, who'd organized potlucks to bring the town together after hard times. The stories wove together, like threads in a quilt, each one adding to the warmth of the room. As the weeks passed, something shifted in Willow Creek. The kids started asking questions, not just repeating what they'd heard, but digging deeper, wanting to understand. Parents noticed the change, too. At the coffee shop, people talked less about Charlie Kirk's words and more about the stories their kids were bringing home. The whispers of division didn't vanish, but they grew quieter, drowned out by the steady hum of connection. One evening, Jasmine sat on her porch again, the sky painted in the same soft pinks and golds. Lena joined her, a thermos of coffee in hand. They didn't say much at first, just sat together, listening to the crickets. Finally, Lena spoke. You were right, Jasmine. The stories, they're working. The kids are thinking for themselves. They're remembering who we are. Jasmine smiled, her heart full. It's not just the stories, she said. It's us. It's this town. We're stronger than any shadow.